Welcome to Focus on Buddhism. Today we will look at a concept which can be deceptively simple: wisdom. It appears that the word wisdom is not often very clearly defined. To most it is synonymous to intellect or intelligence, and quite often it is equal to that ability to solve a given problem quickly, or sometimes merely gaining academic qualifications is seen as an achievement of wisdom. Are all those people with high IQ levels or academic qualifications necessarily wise? Does that mean that all those people who have never received a formal education are not wise? Also, why should one strive to be wise? What purpose does it fulfill? One would guess that one of the main purposes, if not the only one, in gaining wisdom is to be happy and to overcome the suffering in our lives. As Dr. Fritjof Capra, a well-known physicist, states in his book, The Tao of Physics, the Buddha was not interested in satisfying human curiosity about the origin of the world, the nature of the divine, or similar questions. He was concerned exclusively with the human situation, with the suffering and frustrations of human beings. His doctrine, therefore, was not one of metaphysics, but one of psychotherapy. Thus, wisdom in Buddhism means that ability of mind to overcome the suffering and frustrations or unsatisfactoriness of existence, which in Pali is called dukkha. Here's today's speaker, Venerable Mahinda, talking on wisdom.
The subject tonight is on wisdom, getting of wisdom. And perhaps before we talk about wisdom, I need to test you whether you are intelligent enough or not. And intelligence is only part of wisdom, though, not wisdom itself. For those of you who are not acquainted with the Buddhist intelligence test, we have had intelligence tests more than 2,000 years ago. That was the time when Emperor Ashoka's son, his name was also Mahinda, he came to Sri Lanka more than 2,300 years ago. It is said that, tradition says, that he came through levitation. He landed on the hill in Mihintale. There he saw the king of Sri Lanka. He was on a hunting spree. And Arahant Mahinda called up his name. His name was Tissa. He called, Tissa, Tissa. The king, hearing the name, looked around and says, "Who the hell called me by my name?" Others would address him, what you would address a king, your majesty, or highness, or excellency. But here he says only, Tissa, Tissa, just a name. And then, when he looked up, he saw the saintly Mahinda. And Mahinda first, before he preached to the king, he wanted to find out whether the king was intelligent enough, whether he was sharp enough to understand what he's going to say. So that was our first intelligence test. Now, he asked the king, listen carefully, because if you cannot pass this intelligence test, then I stop. He asked the king, "O king, there was a tree nearby." He asked, "What is this tree?" Then the king recognized that that was a mango tree. So he answered, "That's a mango tree." Then the next question Mahinda asked, Are there other mango trees? The king says, yes, there are many other mango trees. Then the next question. Besides the other mango trees, are there any other trees? Then the king says, oh yes, there are many other trees, coconut trees, banana trees, and orange trees, and apple. No, there's no apple in Sri Lanka. So there are all kinds of other trees, he mentioned. Then Arahant Mahinda asks another question. Besides all the other mango trees and all the other trees that are not mango trees, is there any other tree? What's the answer? This mango tree. The last question was, besides all the other mango trees and all the other trees that are not mango trees, is there any other tree? This tree. This question, this was an intelligence test. It is the nature of the mind when we give some kind of a puzzle and go on talking about trees and trees and trees, this mind gets so attached to those kind of questions and the roundabout way that because of this attachment, the mind becomes confused, dispersed, and so it is not able to see clearly. I said that intelligence is part of wisdom. The Buddhist term panya, it can mean intelligence, can mean the intellectual reason, but it goes beyond that. Here, I would like to further elaborate. We will classify wisdom into two kinds of wisdom. There is worldly wisdom or worldly or mundane wisdom, and there is the supra-mundane wisdom. What is this mundane wisdom? It is that knowledge about worldly things, and it's not only knowledge, it is the ability to apply this knowledge to solve worldly problems. Now take another instance. When we are sick, we go to the doctors. And the doctor or the physician, through his knowledge, medical knowledge, and through his experience, he sees, he diagnoses the disease, and then from his own experience and knowledge, he prescribes the medicine. That knowledge through which he is able to prescribe medicine, that is a worldly knowledge. And what is the nature of that worldly knowledge? It does help us to relieve some suffering, helps us to get some relief, some temporary cure. But from our own experience, we know we have to go and see the doctors again and again. So that knowledge, that worldly knowledge, only enables us to overcome suffering for a little while. Sometimes it is only a relief from the symptoms. It does not really give a cure. But the supra-mundane knowledge or wisdom, that is that particular kind of knowledge that enables us to see the nature of things, the nature of phenomena. What kind of phenomena? Of course, it has to relate to mental and physical phenomena. Because the whole teachings of the Buddha centers around the eradication of human sufferings. So, wisdom is the understanding of the real nature of mental and physical phenomena. And when one understands, when one sees and realizes the nature of mental and physical phenomena, what that person understands, he understands basically the Four Noble Truths. The truth of unsatisfactoriness, the cause of unsatisfactoriness, the end of unsatisfactoriness, and the way that leads to the eradication or cessation of unsatisfactoriness. That is the ultimate definition of wisdom. Now, what about the mundane wisdom? The mundane wisdom is that knowledge about mundane world. When I say in this mundane world, I include happiness and sorrow as well, good and bad, wholesome and unwholesome. The understanding of the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, which in its simplest term can be defined as good begets good and evil begets evil. Now, understanding this law helps us to reduce further wrong actions, committing wrong actions, and would encourage us to do more good actions. But what happens when you do good? You will have to reap what you have sown. If it is bad, unwholesome action, you reap the unwholesome consequences. And if it is good, you see the good. What do we mean by this? Happiness in this world. What is happiness in this world? In the teachings of the Buddha mentions 4 kinds of worldly happiness. He says that the happiness that one derives from possession. When you have wealth, when you possess wealth, there is some happiness. May not be real happiness. Don't talk about real lasting happiness, but there is some happiness. Then, when you are able to make use of this wealth, or whatever you possess, you are able to use it. There is happiness in it. There are some people who have money but they cannot make use of it. They are miserable. They are very unhappy about it. Then, there is also the happiness that one experiences when one is free from debt. This, you may not realize this until you are indebted. Then the 4th worldly happiness is the happiness that one derives when one leads a blameless way of life. Blameless in the sense that our actions are not censured, are not looked down upon by Wise people. This is where it is important to have some understanding of what is wisdom, what is right action, what is wholesome action. Then you know that when you come to know that what you are doing is right and is not censured by the wise, you carry on. Who do you recognize to be wise? What are the characteristics of wise people? The mark or characteristic of the wise one are those who are free from the three things. What are the three roots? Greed, attachment, hatred, ignorance. They are wise. And they are able to help others. And in the process of helping others, they do not create more problems for them. Often you see the wise, the simple way, humble way. But today, people are having different concepts. They think wise people are powerful people, people that can display magic, people who can do face healing, and people who can give instant cures. These are powers of the mind. The exhibition of mental power is one thing, wisdom is another thing. So right perception of things is very important. Wisdom, how do we derive our knowledge, our understanding about things? Except through these sense faculties. Through the eye, through the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. Worldly knowledge, as well as supramundane knowledge, can be attained through these senses. We don't need anything extra. If you are prepared to practice, don't have to go anywhere. You can work out your own deliverance. You can gain wisdom. Please do not misunderstand that wisdom is the monopoly of India or the monopoly of Greece. Anyone. That is why when we speak about Buddha, what is the meaning of this term Buddha? Buddha is the title given to one who has attained enlightenment or wisdom. So, don't think that it is, you all can become Buddhas. Yes, not impossible. If you have that determination, that courage to develop, to purify your mind, to perfect your virtues, then the highest wisdom awaits you. Now, from the Noble Eightfold Path, very systematically, wisdom is defined as right understanding and right thoughts. Many people, just now I also explained to you wisdom as that ability to see things as they really are. That is only one aspect of wisdom. That is what we call right understanding. What is right understanding? Right understanding basically comprises of the understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the understanding of the law of karma. And that is how we find in right understanding there are these two levels. There is the mundane understanding, the law of cause and effect. Why do we say that the law of karma only leads to mundane wisdom or mundane right understanding? Because if we only understand the law of karma, that is to say, good begets good, evil begets evil, we still remain in this world. Mundane in the sense that we are still confined to this worldly existence. We have not transcended the world. Then what is it that characterizes human being from all other lower beings? Man has this unique potentiality, the mind, that they are able to think, they have intellect, they are able to develop these things. It is up to us, it is up to man, to the human beings, whether they choose to develop this potentiality to the fullest or to degenerate. It is really through the process of thinking, through the process of reasoning, that one develops knowledge, understanding. However, Buddhism does not stop at mere thinking. At its highest level, it transcends that intellect. That is what you call insight. That is what you call penetrative wisdom or intuitive wisdom. As long as there is no insight, we often color through our perception. Our perceptions are being colored by our prejudices and what we have learned, what have been conditioned. Our minds have been conditioned to see things in a certain manner. We have the process of getting wisdom. Getting to wisdom is to clear this cloud. All these prejudices, all the biases that has come up, all the conditionings and learnings. That is why wisdom is not mere knowledge. Knowledge and information sometimes cloud this mind. So, wisdom is that ability to see things as they clearly are. That is one aspect. The other aspect is not only right understanding, but there is a second factor of right thoughts. Therefore, a wise person is not only one who sees things clearly, but he has also right thoughts. That means to say, they are thoughts that are free from cravings or excessive cravings or covetousness. Thoughts free from ill will or aversion, but overflowing with loving kindness, overflowing with compassion. These are the characteristics of a wise person. Not only seeing things as they are, but also accompanied by compassion, love. These are the marks. These are the characteristics of wise ones.
This brings us to a conclusion of today's program. We would like to inform our listeners that next week we will be broadcasting an interview with Prakantipalo, the Abbot of Wat Buddha Forest Meditation Centre in Wiseman's Ferry. At this interview, we asked Prakantipalo a number of questions a beginner would ask about meditation. Prakantipalo describes and clarifies the basic principles of Buddhist meditation, which would be especially interesting for beginners. That's next Tuesday on Focus on Buddhism. Also, Prakantipalo will be talking on the subject of mind on the 24th of November at 6 p.m. at the Australian Buddhist Library, 2nd floor, 392 Sussex Street, Sydney. That's Sunday the 24th of November, 6 p.m, 2nd floor, 392 Sussex Street, Sydney. Sydney Zen Centre has Zen meditation on Monday, Wednesday and Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. There are also regular weekend orientation and meditation days. All are welcome. Sydney Zen Centre is located at 251 Young Street, Annandale. Phone 660-2993. 660-2993. Venerable Upandita Sayadaw from Burma, who is at present conducting a 30-day retreat at Baradu, will be giving a public talk on the 4th of December. For details, ring 797-8085. 797-8085. This program was sponsored by Mr. Michel de Grief and brought to you by the Buddha Dharma Society of Sydney. May you all be well and happy.